Sure, everyone has one actor or actress that no matter what they're in, you're probably gonna go see it. For me, that's Jason Statham. It may come as no surprise that I have a thing for fun, dumb action movies, and to me, he's kind of the king of that. No matter what movie it is, I always have a blast when he's the leading man. Like, seriously, I have a good time every single time. For me, though, I think the one that really tops the charts as fun, dumb action is the Meg movie, a movie I already covered. So I asked myself, what could be the next best thing? Two Megs. And luckily, there's a second Meg movie. The movie opens 75 million years ago with a fun little sequence of animals getting eaten by bigger animals until a motherfucking Meg eats a T-Rex. There's also these weird little dinos that I don't think ever really existed, but they come back a lot during this movie, and they can both swim and be on land. We then catch up with Jonas Taylor, who is now an environmental cop of some kind because he boards ships in order to get evidence to put the people into jail. Naturally, he gets into fisticuffs with the bad guys on the boat so we can see his action skills in motion before he ends up getting cornered. He uses his real-life diving skills to jump off the boat and get picked up by a plane piloted by his old buddy from the first movie, Mac. At the same time, we meet the Oceanic Institute, which is run by this guy named Ju Ming, who is the brother of Jonas's love interest from the first movie, but she died off screen in between movies, so don't think about her. Here's a photo of her, but don't think about her. And they've been exploring the bottom of the Mariana Trench, so he's been working on these exosuits that allow them to walk on the bottom because science. Turns out that Ju Ming has a pet Meg that he keeps in his backyard like it's fucking SeaWorld. And he just narrowly avoids getting eaten by it, and then later that night, it just figures out how to escape and is now in the wild. Back on the Mana 1, which was the station from the first movie, the new team prepares to go down to the trench, and we sort of meet the rest of the characters. Unfortunately, none of them are really in it enough for me to bother naming them, and shocker, they don't make it very far. On their dive, Pet Meg shows up to play peekaboo and bring two of her friends along, which includes one that's ginormous. Down in the trench, they find a building on the floor with an evil sub nearby with our big villain for the movie, Montes. Montes blows up a ridge that sends debris crashing down on our team, causing an explosion that opens up the thermo layer that keeps all the Megs in. Back on the Mana 1, Mac and DJ, from the first movie as well, stress out about the crash and ask this new girl Jess to prep the rescue sub, which has been sabotaged. So, Jonas's big plan is to get in those exosuits from before and take a little stroll across the seafloor over to the building that they saw earlier on their way down, and they just are gonna hope they don't die. On this lovely sea walk, a guy named Lance gets snatched up by a giant octopus. A bunch of those tiny dinos from the intro attack the group. This lady Curtis gets her mask cracked, and the Megs attack, killing this other lady named Sal. In the airlock, Curtis's head implodes from the crack, which is honestly brutal. That's worse than the sharks eating people, in my opinion. I told you those side characters wouldn't make it very far because the only surviving one is a lady named Regis. And lucky for her, the base is completely empty and has emergency escape pods, so everything's gonna be fine. Turns out that the new girl Jess is the traitor, and she ends up trapping the survivors, releasing the escape pods to get them to comply in killing Jonas, and when that fails, she decides to just drown them all, something she could have just done in the first place.
I'll swim to the yellow where we came in and do the override.
Water doesn't compress under pressure, so if he can force water in his sinus cavities, he could survive 30, maybe 60 seconds before he passes out. It is possible.
I'm sorry, what? You mean to tell me we can swim 25,000 feet underwater as long as we have water in our sinuses? Yeah, I don't think so, but this scene of Jason Statham shooting a dino while passing out is pretty cool, so who cares? Montes is also on the base, so the two of them can have a fight scene while the clock is ticking as everyone else is slowly drowning in the next room. Jonas ends up winning, so they hijack Montes' sub to get the fuck out of there, but not before they all turn the lights on so the Megs know that someone's home, and that someone is Montes, who then just rides a balloon up.
I'll protect her with my life.
And I'll protect her with mine.
No.
On Mono 1, bad guys take it over, but it turns out DJ is a badass now who has pepper spray, tasers, and knows how to kick the shit out of people.
You got tasers, now you can swim, all of a sudden you're running around like you're freaking Batman.
Hell yeah.
DJ and Mac meet up with Jonas and Ju-Ming, while Montes and Jess make out in the command room until she gets eaten by a Meg. Jess was actually working for this lady who honestly doesn't matter, just like Jess didn't matter. They're both just kind of in this movie to be evil when they need to be and then get eaten when they need to be. Using a tiny ass boat, our team paddles out while the bad guys get swallowed up by the Meg, and Jonas makes explosive spears in order to fight the Megs. And the Megs are heading towards a place known as Fun Island, where the owner of Pippin is a manager of some sort. And Pippin, for anyone who doesn't remember, is the dog that 100% should have died in the first one, but because of plot armor, it didn't. Yeah, it's back in this movie too. On Fun Island, the little dinos have made themselves at home and start killing Montes' goons while everyone on the beach starts to freak out. The big bad evil corporate lady who was behind everything that I just mentioned gets dragged away and eaten because just like her screen time, her death doesn't matter. None of it matters. Jonas takes a jet ski and goes out to try to blow up the Megs with his harpoons, while Mac and Ju-Ming run off to make a bomb. Jonas narrowly escapes being eaten, and then the Meg breaches like a whale. Jonas rides the wave and harpoons a Meg in the face, blowing part of its head off. This is followed by Mac and Ju-Ming stealing a helicopter. Ju-Ming falls out of the helicopter and sprays fuel all over the tiny dinos, and then they blow up after Mac shoots a fuel tank with a flare. And after an hour of waiting for the octopus to finally show up, well, one of its tentacles shows up to drag a guy under. It then attacks the chopper, bringing it and Mac down, as Jonas plays run away from the exploding planks game. Unfortunately, we don't get to see much of the octopus. Really, it's just this one scene when it's dragging Ju-Ming down, then in very quick cuts as it fights the Meg. A fight, by the way, that lasts for like 5 seconds. It's a massive letdown that's all we got after it teased the octopus the entire movie and teased it in one of the trailers. Finally, Montes gets eaten when a Meg comes by, so Jonas kicks him into its mouth. So yeah, Jonas kills a Meg with a helicopter blade, and Ju-Ming's pet Meg doesn't have him as a snack in the end before she fucks off. Oh, and look, these two survived too. That's nice. I think Meg 2 is fun, but not as fun as the first Meg. I think they definitely bumped up the shark action, which is nice in a shark movie, but the characters outside the ones returning from the first movie feel a little flat. In the first one, we had enough time with all the characters that by the time some of their deaths rolled around, there was actually something behind them. Like Dr. Keller, who starts off hating Jonas, ends up believing him, and then saves Jax's life by sacrificing himself. In this one, we just get one thing about everybody, and that's it. Like the guy who dies by the octopus underwater, the only thing we learn about him is that he likes Comic-Con. At least DJ is back, and funnier than ever in this one. The fact he went out and trained to be ready in case something happened again is hilarious when you realize that he trained to fight a giant shark. Because last time, there weren't any goons like this for everyone to fight. Not to mention the fact that he gets to dive in slow motion and shoot a dinosaur in the head. Everything he does is just super fun to watch, making him a nice part of the viewing experience. Even the villains in this one feel like cardboard cutouts compared to Dwight in the last one. At least he was developed, so when he lied to everyone and then went off to try to 1v1 a giant shark, it kind of made sense. In the sequel, it's just a vague corporation that are mining rare earth metals. That's not me summarizing. That's what they call the rocks they're mining. They don't even bother naming them something stupid like untitanium. Looking at you, Avatar. But they just don't care about the villains in this one. Plus, Montez should have died so many times in this movie, to the point I can't tell if it's a bit it's doing on purpose, or if the writers were too lazy to include another villain for some of these moments and decided to just keep letting Montez live. The man survives his sub being wrecked, a fist fight with Jonas, the Meg attacking Mana 1, the little dinos attacking, and then in the end, he just gets Spartan kicked into a Meg mouth. The dude has some insane luck. Until he doesn't anymore. At least the shark carnage is dialed up a little, and unlike the first one, a lot of bystanders get swallowed. It's especially brutal that they included a scene where a guy proposes and then gets eaten seconds later. Though the Meg action is increased, I definitely think the lack of the giant octopus is a huge disappointment. It doesn't do nearly enough and gets taken out way too easily. It could have done a lot more, but oh well. I am curious how a human man could stop a giant shark by simply putting your foot on its mouth. Granted, there are chains holding it back a little, but this image right here is super funny to me. Honestly, a majority of this movie feels like it was written around the most basic of ideas. 3 sharks this time, stuff at the bottom of the trench, and jet ski harpoon battle at the end. Everything else is just a bridge for the next part, and none of it's very interesting. The Meg 2 delivers on everything you think it will. It's fun with the action, and over-the-top moments like the underwater fight make it pretty enjoyable. It's funny intentionally and unintentionally because some of the acting is very bad. And last but not least, it has Jason Statham. So what more could you honestly want? It might not be as good or as fun as the first one, but it's worth a watch if you crave some good brain rot, landing the sequel in so bad it's good. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my video on the movie Jumper. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what movie you'd like to see me cover in the future.